Welcome back to the channel, where we unravel the biggest tech dramas. Today, we're driving straight into China's electric car jungle, and BYD, the world's largest EV maker, just honked loud enough to wake the whole neighborhood. Picture this. You walk into a warehouse sale, and every table is selling the same shirt at a different discount. That is the Chinese EV market right now. 129 car brands all trying to woo the same buyer. BYD's executive vice president Stella Li said at a major European auto show that about 100 car brands in China need to be pushed out. She didn't say merge or consolidate. She used a blunt phrase, pushed out. Imagine the chief of a leading U.S. automaker landing at a big trade show and declaring 100 startups must exit the market. That kind of bluntness turns heads. It also tells you how serious BYD thinks the problem is. Why the fuss? Because the market is overcrowded. There are too many cars chasing too few buyers. Even 20 brands might be too many, according to BYD. Most of those 129 companies are in survival mode, cutting prices and hoping subsidies continue. BYD overtook Tesla in 2024, but even the biggest fish feels the pressure in a pond full of piranhas. Aggressive discounting has eroded margins. For BYD, fewer competitors means more pricing power and less margin squeeze. Let's break down the numbers. Only 3 Chinese EV makers are profitable right now: BYD, Li Auto, and Ito, which is backed by Huawei. The rest are losing money. China has the capacity to build 20 million EVs a year, but sold roughly 10 million last year. That is 50% capacity utilization. Half the factories are underused, inventory piles up, and the average discount on electric cars in July was 16.7%. That's a consumer's dream and a manufacturer's nightmare. Analysts say that by 2030, only about 10% of these brands will be profitable. In a best-case scenario, 15 companies might control 75% of the market. The rest disappear. How did we get here? Back in 2015, Beijing launched a plan to dominate high-tech sectors, including EVs. Subsidies poured in. Some automakers received the equivalent of around $8,000 per car as a rebate. That money let newcomers slash prices and flood the market. Subsidies worked at first. Sales exploded. BYD rose fast and competition intensified. But subsidies also created a bubble. Now the bubble is deflating and the market is sorting itself out. Why should viewers in the US care? Because the fallout will not stay inside China. BYD and other Chinese makers are exporting aggressively, undercutting prices in Europe and beyond. US automakers are calling this an existential threat. Europe has responded with tariffs and protection measures, and the US has tightened rules around some imports. BYD's strategy to counter this is simple: build where you sell. The company is opening a factory in Hungary to make cars in Europe for European buyers. That approach echoes moves Japanese automakers used decades ago to avoid trade barriers. Building local production plants helps BYD keep prices competitive and sidestep tariffs. But expanding overseas doesn't solve the core problem back home. China's domestic EV market remains a brutal fight over price and survival. Unless Beijing pushes consolidation or subsidies are sharply reworked, margin pressure will continue. This whole situation looks like an electric version of a reality elimination show. Newcomers launch flashy models and build hype, but only a few have the capital, tech, and scale to survive a prolonged price war. And this matters for innovation. If companies keep selling at or below cost, they can't invest in better batteries, safety improvements, or charging infrastructure. That slows the technology curve for everyone. So what happens next? Either the market consolidates naturally as weak players fold or merge, or the state steps in and actively reshapes the industry through regulation and targeted support. BYD's public call for a cull is both a market observation and a strategic nudge toward the latter. For Western automakers, the shakeout is both risk and opportunity. A consolidated, well-capitalized Chinese EV sector could become a fierce global competitor, but a messy collapse could lead to short-term chaos and sudden price swings that ripple through global supply chains. For consumers, the immediate scene is pretty attractive: deep discounts and big incentives, but that cheapness may not last. After consolidation, the survivors will have pricing power again, and prices could stabilize or even rise. Bottom line, BYD's blunt warning is a signal. The market that grew on subsidies and volume is entering a painful but necessary phase of correction. Some companies will die, others will consolidate, and a few will emerge stronger and more efficient. If BYD wants a smaller field of competitors, that's good for its margins. If Beijing encourages consolidation, that could speed the transformation. Either way, the global EV map is changing, and the ripple effects will be felt in Detroit, Munich, and beyond. Thanks for sticking with this deep dive. If you enjoyed the breakdown, hit subscribe, give the video a like, and share it with a friend who loves automotive drama. Drop a comment with what you think will happen in the next 5 years. Catch you in the next episode where we unpack more of the tech and industrial stories that actually shape our roads and wallets. Please visit satpro.com for more updates.